Hey, what's up to my fellow Satam fans at the Saturday morning Sonic forums, and to Michael, who's in charge of this. I'd like to talk a little bit about Satam for a moment here. As I've mentioned before, and as you all know, as we all know, Satam is coming to DVD in 2007. And I'm looking forward to it. Quite honestly, I'm looking forward to it. And if I had my way, I'd probably, one of the things I'm going to be honest with you about, if I had my way, one of the extra features, bonus features I should say, that I would like to see added to it, would be an explanation on what the third season would have been like, and maybe see if there's any drawings or something like that from the third season, or from what the third season would have been like. Because I noticed that some DVDs of animated shows lately have done that. They've actually shown storyboards, maybe script formats of what the third season or season or episode that never made it would have been like. And I would like to kind of see if that if that's the case, I'd like to kind of see if that's that could happen. But that's only if I had my way, on what the features would be like. But quite honestly, I truly think that we're going to get something good out of this. I think this Satam DVD box set's going to be one of the best animated box sets there is. I mean, you take a look at the box sets that have come out of some of the animated shows from the 80s and 90s, and that have been very popular, and they've done very well when it came to being DVD box sets. So I would actually, I'm actually, like I said, I would not actually be surprised if this sold out in certain areas within the time of a pre-ordering and probably buying it in stores. But as far as Satam goes right now, I think that a lot of the elements of Satam, like a lot of what the stories would have been like, as I've mentioned many times before, and I will try to repeat myself, would have been like, actually made their way into the comic book. I mean, you take a look at what would have been the third season would have been like. Like, for example, you take a look at Sally being courted by somebody else or being romanced by somebody else. That actually took place in the Princess Sally miniseries. With the character of Jeffrey St. John, when he started to romance her, and that obviously answered, and that obviously answered the question of who would romance her. And believe it or not, you could agree with this. That idea came from from the last season. That idea came from Satam. Her being romanced by somebody else, and that somebody being Jeffrey St. John. Fortunately enough, in the 48-page special Brave New World, she actually let Jeffrey know that she likes him, but that her heart has and always will belong to Sonic. And thank God for that. But as I've mentioned before, in that stuck in traffic thing that I posted, Jeffrey wouldn't be out of love for long because he ended up marrying Hershey the cat, who had been in love with him since the first time she saw him. So I honestly think that's actually kind of a good thing that happened. Actually, a good thing that happened. But like I said, that idea of her being romanced by somebody else, or her being romanced by St. John, came from Satam. You can't deny that. Another thing that I think came from Satam and was kind of worked on was Tails maturing. You go back to the solo stories he had of Growing Pains, and then his 3-part miniseries. That had to come from Satam as well, because in those